We're going to go ahead and get started. It's always good to see everyone. We did have a winter day today. It is a winter day today. However, it is February. We know it can go up until March, but I think this has been the coldest day of the winter that we've had. So, but we're all here. We're thankful and good to see everyone. And at this time, I am going to call the meeting to order. As we all know, this is the work session. And after that, we will proceed on into our agenda for tomorrow council meeting, which is also will be done by Zoom. So as I stated, I'm quite sure, as you all know, we're here often when he gets on, but we want to go ahead and get started with the meeting. So at this time, I'm calling the meeting to order, and I would like to call on Councilman Bailey to lead us with the invocation. Councilman Bailey.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity. Lord, everybody, please bow their heads. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the wonderful things that you put before us each day. We thank you for the opportunities that you give us each day. But fill us with the intent to do right. Fill us with the intent to do your will. Help us to watch over the things that you put for us to watch over. Give us the guidance that we need. Let us understand that we do not go through this by ourselves. You're always beside us. You promise to never leave us nor forsake us. We need you so much, Lord, in this world today. There's so many things going on, and we cannot control any of them, Lord. Everything is within your control. Everything is done through your will. Help us to see the business of this city with the intent that we should do it with clean and pure hearts and pure minds, pure souls. Guide our citizens, Lord, to understand that each of us have their benefits and their best in our hearts and our minds and our souls each time we come together as a group. But let us not forget all of our city employees, all the citizens, and yet all the department heads and the people that do run this city, Lord. Watch over all of us and keep us healthy, keep us out of harm's way. Help this pandemic to go away, Lord, and the social unrest to go away. Heal our nation, heal our state, heal our city, and heal each one of our homes. Continue to use us as you see fit, but also use us in ways that we can better do things for your best on this earth until time sees fit for you to come back. Lord, remember all the families that have been touched by this COVID, the people we've lost in our city, the people we've lost lately, and the people that are sick and hurting now. Be with each one of them. We've lost a lot of pillars of our community in the last months, Lord. Some were foreseen, some were not foreseen. But let us remember that each day could be our last. Each day could be the very next one that we open our eyes and see you for the first time in your heavenly glory that each one of us needs to be. Use us, guide us, direct us, and keep us in your favor as always. These things I ask in the most precious name there is, Jesus Christ, our risen Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve, Councilman Bailey. Thank you so much. Proceeding on, council, request to address the council. Is Jennifer, are you out there, Jennifer Davidson? Are you out there? Okay, so I guess not. If she joined,
Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm letting her on right now.
Oh, okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi.
Yeah, we've been calling on you, so we're glad that Mike has been able to get you on, and we're glad that you're willing to be on. So with that said, I do want to turn it over to you to address this council.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for having me and allowing me to come on today. I was actually kind of happy. It's so cold outside. I was kind of glad I didn't have to get out and go anywhere. So this Zoom sometimes works out. I just wanted to ask y'all if we could get your permission again this year to use the Garrett Harrison Stadium parking lot for the farmers market. The market should start the week after Memorial Day, which I think this year is pretty late. So it's going to be June 3rd, going on Thursday from noon to about 6, and then Saturday mornings. And then we usually ride it out until somewhere in the month of November. And then in addition to that, if it's okay with y'all, we'd like to use that same exact spot to give out the trees for the tree board for Arbor Day, which is February 27th this year.
Okay. Council, you all have heard her request. Are there any problems with anyone? As far as granting them the permission to, and this is something that you all have done in the past, same location, same spot. As I don't know whether you all were able to do it last year when COVID really ramped up, but I do know the year before that. So council, are there any objection to this?
No,
Anyone?
I have
a question.
I don't have any.
I have one question.
All right, Mr. Hunter.
So we can clear it up, because these type questions I have to ask Jennifer. She'll clear it up with her answer. Jennifer, have you all ever had any complaints from any other part of any other district? Any complaints? Because I know it's a good location, because I ride by it all the time, and it's right across the street from the gas station. But to clear everything up, have you ever had any complaint about it being too far north or being put in a different district to serve the other districts?
Not to my knowledge, not to me.
Cleared it up.
I did have an opportunity, and Sean knows about this recently. Beyond Harvest came to me and asked if I knew a location in our county that needed access to fresh food. And so we organized a rolling store for Hertzboro. So in the future, we're hoping if there are other communities that are without really easy access to good grocery stores, we might be able to have multiple stops for that rolling store as well. But to my knowledge, I've never had a complaint.
Got it covered. That's good.
And Jennifer, if you can explain, and not saying everyone don't know, but in the event they don't know, tell them about Harvest, Plenty of Harvest. I think that's the name of it. Who those people are.
Yeah, Beyond Harvest. So it used to be
Yeah.
Phenix Foods. If y'all probably, I grew up knowing Phenix Foods down there on
Right.
South Hill Road. And so, and Marvin's Markets. And so a company has purchased that called Beyond Harvest. And they're working to really support our local growers in the region. So they're really buying a lot of more local produce, local meats, local honey, just all sorts of things from local, very, very small vendors. And so we've been working to help link them up with our producers in the area. And then in addition to that, they had the ability to do the little roll-in store. And so we've kind of started that this last month, and we hope that will continue and maybe even expand to other areas of the county and even city where people have trouble getting a grocery store.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there used to be Phoenix Food, the Blowmeyers, who came down from Birmingham. So good people. But just wanted you all, in the event you all didn't know where they were located, they did change the name to Beyond Harvest. What I said, Plenty of Harvest, Beyond Harvest. Yes. Thank you, Jim.
And I purchased a box of their produce, and I had never seen such pretty lettuce in my life. We can grow some good looking lettuce in this area.
Well, it might be some organic lettuce. Jennifer, I have one quick question for you. So leading up to the market day, will you have any media or newsprint circulating, letting people know when and where?
Yeah, so, Extension, we don't have a lot of money for paid advertisements, but we have wonderful partners with CTV Beam and the newspaper. And so we put that in the newspaper as well as flyers around town. And then we also do social media.
Okay. All right, good. And you look at my cute there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions from any of the council members for Ms. Davidson? Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you so much. Appreciate what you're doing. Next, Angel, for the planning commission meeting for the February the 9th planning commission meeting. Angel?
Yes, sir. We had one item on the agenda. It was a public hearing and approval of a rezone 0.34 plus or minus acres located at 5202 Somerville Road. It's going from an A1 zone, which is low density residential and general agriculture district, to a C3 zone neighborhood commercial district. David Alexander Quinney's the owner. They opened the public hearing. We had several people there. We've had a couple of them that seemed to be opposed to it. They made their claim. The issue that we had, Planning Commission didn't approve it at this meeting because we found out at a later date that they did not have the rezoning signs placed on the property when they were supposed to. So we actually had to table it per Mr. Graham, and we sent back out the public hearing notices again, and the rezone sign is up. So we will do this all again in 2 weeks, and they'll be able to speak their piece and everything like that. They were concerned about it not being residential anymore, and they were concerned that, that area is just going to continue to get commercialized. We didn't have any other concerns. Mr. Quinney was there. He did get up and state that it was a family-owned business, insurance business, and he did speak along with his father. So if y'all got any questions about that, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Okay. Any question, council?
I've just got a couple. I know that next door to it, on that corner, that was the original place that I want to say CVS purchased, I think, and eventually merged with Rite Aid. So they moved CVS across the road, but that's already zoned commercial. And I'm thinking, isn't everything behind it on that? I can't think of the name of the road right behind it, but where there's 5 or 6 houses, all that's zoned commercial already too, isn't it, Angel?
Yes, sir. You have some property that's on the other side of him, the lot, and behind it that's actually not even inside the city limits, so it's not zoned. But the lot that you were talking about, CVS, yes, it is zoned commercial. And Mr. Quinney did state that they looked at trying to purchase that lot. It was just real expensive.
Yeah, way more expensive than what they could afford for an insurance, family-owned insurance business. And then I was thinking that, behind Mavis, it's not Mavis anymore. It is. It's behind Mavis Tire. And I think that is commercial, I think. And then like I said, where the road cut across, it used to come off Sunville Road. William Bradley lived in there and several other people. And I was thinking that was on commercial back when they did the original tire store in there and all of that. They kind of brought all that zoning all the way down through there. So I was thinking that this one sits right next to commercial already. And then on the south side of it, as best I can say, like you just described, that's not zoned anything because it's not in the city. So, I haven't had anybody call and complain to me, but I did have David Queenie did call me and asked me, had anybody called? Of course, I told him they had not, but I didn't see a, big issue with it. And the only answer I would have to the people that live up there, and I don't mean this derogatory to anybody, but I see that commercial district is gonna merge out a little bit in all 4 directions, so to speak, as far as it can. It'll be limited going north, but going south, it's probably going to travel a ways down Somerville Road before it ever actually stops at some point in time in the future when you get down close to Richard's Place and Saddlebrook and things like that. So, unfortunately, it is one of them situations where, an area of a city like Ladonia, for instance, is going to eventually grow over the next, 15, 20 years. I just see that happening up there to a degree. I don't know what else to tell people, living in there other than if you think it's going to encroach on you, I guess if you have it zoned commercial, your own self, where you put it up for sale, it'll bring more money. I mean, I'm thinking. So I don't really know the answer, but I haven't had anybody complain to me, but I just was thinking behind it was already zoned that way. And next to it, wasn't zoned. That's my only take on it.
Yes, sir. And it was the next door neighbor to the south of him. He was one of them at the public hearing. And then another gentleman across the road was one of them that spoke at the public hearing. And as I explained to everyone at the meeting, Planning Commission only gives a recommendation to City Council on zonings. So they, based on their decision in a couple of weeks, they'll either, recommend to deny it or recommend to approve it. And then it goes through council. Ultimately, y'all are the ones that make the decision to do the.
Only thing about this end, people got to understand that's Phenix City, Lee County, majority of it.
Mhm.
That's where you got that why we fall into the different zonings up there with commercial and non-zoning, because that's the end of town that so many people are in and out. That's why we got to look to the future on a decision and what we're going to do with that part of the city.
Okay.
Angel, I have one question. You mentioned insurance company. It's a family owned business, or they looking to put a family owned business in this area?
I believe Mr. Quinney currently sells insurance and he is wanting to use
He does.
that is there, if it's usable or not, or just put a business there in this area. So he says it's family owned. You know, no matter if it's family owned or not, if they ever sell this lot or do anything, whoever purchased it can do anything that's in a C3 neighborhood district. I mean, so you can't always say that this lot's forever going to be an insurance agency. I mean,
Right.
it could be anything in that zoning.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Any other question, council?
Has Griff had anybody call him on it up there?
Well, no, I talked to Alex. I spoke with Alex Quinney pretty much about the same things that you talked with David about. And, but I've had no residents call me with concerns or complaints. No.
I was just curious if they tried to get in touch with me, couldn't or didn't, but I had no one to call to be negative on it at all. Of course, I had no one call for it either, other than just David and them telling me, you know, what their intentions would be. But like Angel says, even if it's done, that doesn't mean that they have to go through with what they're going to do as far as putting that particular business there. But that's what he told me they wanted to do, was actually at this point in time have two insurance companies, one downtown and one on that end of town up there. And I guess if one does better than the other, they could consolidate and just have one location eventually.
Okay. Any other questions or comment, council? Angel, anything else?
No, sir, that's all that we had.
All right, we appreciate you. Good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on our city clerk, Melanie, February and March 2021 calendars and upcoming board appointments. Melanie?
Hey, Mayor, thank y'all so much. Looking ahead on the calendar, tomorrow morning, we have the council meeting by Zoom at 9 a.m. February the 23rd is the next planning commission meeting at 5:15. We're looking at March. On March the 1st, we have our work session at 3 p.m. Scheduled for Zoom. Our council meeting following on the 2nd at 9 a.m. by Zoom. There's a planning commission meeting on the 9th at 5:15. Then the next work session's at 3 p.m. on the 15th of March, scheduled by Zoom. At our last work session, y'all had indicated that on the 16th of March, which would typically be that meeting that traveled around to the 1st district, that given the COVID situation right now, y'all were thinking we're still going to do that by Zoom, and then at 9 a.m. I will send out a public notice as we get a little closer to that, setting that new time out. And then on March the 23rd, we have the Planning Commission meeting at 5:15. That was everything with the calendars. And then the board appointments coming up in March, that'll be on your March agendas, will be for the Historic Preservation Commission. We have two people coming up on that board. One person would like to serve again. The other person we're having difficulty getting in touch with, Mr. Brown. That's it, Mayor.
Any questions or comment, council? Okay. If not, if all minds are clear, we're going to go ahead and get into the discussion for the agenda for tomorrow. Okay, council? Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. As we know, tomorrow the meeting is at 9 by Zoom, as Mrs. Lee just spoke of. I will call the meeting to order, and the invocation will be done by Pastor Keith Badowski, which he has confirmed. Correct, Melanie?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. So Keith from Epworth, the United Methodist Church, will do the invocation. And again, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Bailey. And then we do have the presentations and proclamation. The presentation we have is, which we all say is an awesome thing that has been started, a great thing. And I know I get redundant in me saying this, but I think in today's environment, we can't say thank you enough to people sincerely. So we will have the employee service recognition tomorrow with those employees that you all have put your eyes on in the agenda. We will have that recognition by the city manager and Stephanie Chastain, who's our HR director. And then we will have the reading of a proclamation for Rakeem Nunez Roaches. As you all know, he played in the Super Bowl a week ago this past Sunday with Tampa Bay. They did win, and he played here at Central High School in Phenix City. I think he 2011, I think was his last year playing there. So he played at Southern Miss. So we will present a proclamation to him by Zoom, and I think his mom, Melanie, correct me if I'm wrong, is supposed to be on Zoom. And Arthur Summer Jr. came by the other day and picked up the proclamation. So he would deliver it to them based on him coming to pick it up. But I think Rakeem mom will be with us on Zoom tomorrow. And so we will ask the clerk to read that proclamation recognizing him for, being the championship for the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. So we will ask the clerk to read that. And after that, we will proceed on the city clerk and council. At that time, I will call for approval for the call meeting minutes for the January 28th State of the City. I will call for motion for that approval as well as a second. Okay, council?
Okay.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll ask for a motion and a second for the approval of the regular scheduled meeting minutes for February the 1st work session, as well as February the 2nd council meeting. And since we were all there, council, I would ask if it's the pleasure of you all that we take that in one vote. Okay?
Okay.
Is that okay, council?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then after that, we will proceed on the city council, unfinished business. And if there's something between here and there that we would like to bring up and discuss at that time, we will have the opportunity to do so. And from that, we will get into the resolutions and on the administrations. There's a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to enter into an agreement with Building and Earth Sciences Incorporation to perform construction materials testing and special inspection services for the addition to the public safety building project in an amount not to exceed $15,100. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read the resolution, council, and we will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Any comments, questions, or discussion? And again, let me reiterate this. If we have any questions that we can remember today for the sake of time for tomorrow, if you think of them, let's go ahead and ask them today. Okay? So after the Mrs. Lee read that resolution, I will ask for a motion in a second. Any comments, questions, or discussion, council? Okay, if there's not any, proceeding on the resolution on administration is a resolution in reference to authorizing Alabama Power Company to install 4 APCO leased LED fixtures in 4 floods, 14,500 to 23,000 lumens range located at the 1507 5th Street South Police Precinct. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read that resolution, and we'll ask for a motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions or discussion, council?
So, are there already existing lamps down there, and they're replacing it with a
The LED?
LED fixtures,
There
or
are-
would they installing these new LED fixtures?
These
I'm
lights-
sorry.
I'm sorry, these lights are going to be in addition to the lights. There are some lights down there already, but they're on the street. These lights are going to be mainly posted in the parking area behind the Boys and Girls Club building down there, the Fifth Street, the Phoenix City Activity Center on Fifth Street, and the police precinct, as well in the parking area of the pool right next door. So those are going to just increase the lighting around those facilities, both the precinct, the youth center, and the swimming pool on Fifth Street South.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, questions, discussion? Thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate that. Proceeding on, council. Next is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to renew the contract for bid number E20-01, hot mix asphalt paving and roadway improvement at the 2021 contract unit prices of February 28th, 2022. We'll ask Ms. Lee to read that, council, and we will ask for a motion in a second on that resolution. And comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, there's not any. Proceeding on. D is a resolution in reference to renewing the tax structure of the city of Phoenix City, Alabama for the tax year beginning October the 1st, 2021. Trust you all have read all of that. It's same thing, but again, we'll ask Ms. Lee to read that proclamation, and I will ask for a motion in a second, council. Comments, discussion, or questions? Okay. Then proceeding on the E is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a contract with Madison Bloomberg Capital Ventures LLC for the sale of residential property located at 307 11th Avenue in an amount not to exceed $4,000. Okay, Mrs. Lee, will be asked to read that resolution, and I will ask from the council for a motion and a second to approve. Any comments, questions, or discussion?
Yeah, how did we wind up with this piece of property exactly? Was this one where we took down the building that was on it and the family or whoever never, took it back over?
Mr. Bailey, this is a property that we actually purchased back in the mid-'80s. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we've had it for some time, and the gentleman that's looking to purchase it, it was his family's property prior to this. And so he's just looking to acquire it and eventually may do something with it.
Okay.
And not only that, we are trying to get a lot of these properties back on the tax roll.
There you go.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was just curious I didn't read everything about it, but I was just curious as how we, wound up with it. And that makes perfect sense. And it's perfect sense that he tries to get it back and eventually do something with it his own self. The way it can be, like you said, a building or whatever put back on it and get it back on the tax roll where it can go to generating some money for the county and the city.
So
Okay, thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Honor. Any
Okay.
comments, or questions? If not, proceeding on the administration is on
Yes,
the.
Mayor, before you proceed on, I have a question on that.
Oh, please.
I'm sorry, I had a little problem here trying to get on this afternoon. I apologize for that. But I'd like to ask just a simple question. I didn't read all of that as well. Is that commercial? Is that in a CR zone?
it's a residential lot, Mr. Day.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions, comment? Okay, proceeding on the F. We have a resolution in reference to directing the mayor and city manager to enter into a contract with Scenic Properties LLC for lobbyist services in an amount not to exceed $8,750 annually. I will ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution, and we'll ask for a motion in a second on that. Okay, council? Comments or questions or discussion? Okay, if not, proceeding on. G is a resolution in reference to opposing House Bill 366, and I trust everyone read that. So we are asking for, after Mrs. Lee read it, we will ask for a motion in a second opposing that House bill, as we all know, with the red light. So And, you know, surprisingly to me when I saw it, because and Mr. Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had to go to the federal judge, federal court on this on a couple of occasions, and they rule in the favor of the city. Then, am I correct?
Correct.
And it just surprised me that you know.
It's gonna keep coming, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep coming because of the type people we are. And it's about safety. And
all about safety.
The data shows that it's worked well for us and for the police department. That's why it was put in place. Hopefully one day we'll be safe enough to take this down, but it's not just on our residents that's here to get familiar with it or should get familiar with it and stop running the red lights and start thinking there's such thing as a rolling stop, that we have a lot of transits that's come through here that don't respect safety. And you got to have that there for them once they come through. A lot of the time, some of them are repeat offenders, and they get enough of those tickets, it may slow them down and stop them in certain areas. But I feel like red light camera is nothing to anybody that's driving the appropriate way and
being obedient,
not running lights and following.
You got to be obedient.
Rules and regulations of life. But we also have people that's in positions that as soon as somebody in their family get a ticket for doing wrong, then the system is wrong and they want to wipe it out. But if they was at the same place and lost a family member because somebody run through that light and killed them, then they'll see it a different way. So we trying to, hopefully they won't have to see it in that light or see it in that way. So one day they may get it removed, but until that day, I'm against anybody removing it.
Well, the other thing too, and to me, in reading the bill, to me, the person who sponsored it, and you always see that person's name, he missing the whole thing about safety, because it's specifically saying that about the safetiness. But anyway, we are going to ask for a motion second to approve that resolution to oppose House Bill 366.
Right
now, also, Mayor and Council, you know, it's possibility that some of his relatives had a situation with that as well. If I'm correct, I was in Montgomery, and I don't want to elaborate on that any further, but that's possible, like Mr. Hunter stated a few minutes ago. Some of the family member had a problem with it, and this is what they're trying to do. But it's all about safety, as the mayor alluded to. That's what we got to look at, the larger picture, which is about safety.
And I'd like to add,
you know something, having the signage, and the chief will tell you, we know for a fact on 280 at Opelika intersection, and that's one of the worst intersections in the world. I tell you what, and I know this is touching, but I remember years ago, and it's probably a bad subject for you, Charles, and I apologize for that. But I've been around here for a long time, but the intersection of 22nd Avenue, I'll never forget that intersection, and I know your family won't. And Charles lost a sister there. And that was some years ago. I know at the intersection, Opelika Road, every time I go through there, I can remember sitting with a child in my arm with her mother saying, was she okay? And I couldn't tell her that her brain was hanging out the back of her head because of people running through those intersections. But because a person that's in Montgomery, wife got a ticket through one of those cameras, they fight tooth and nail against us to do something about, and they always talk about the revenue. I would rather not have a dime from that revenue stream, but we do use it to put back in public safety to try to strengthen and better things for law enforcement and the people that we right now have a bill that's coming up that's passed through that may cripple cities. And it's because of the strain and stress that police officers and firemen have on them doing their career and going to different scenes like this. Same thing as soldiers get, post-traumatic syndrome. And this is something that's gonna, and I stayed in it a long time. This is something that possibly can bring a city to its knees, the type insurance that we would have to cover, that people, once they finish their career, it'll be the same as coming out of the military and being on disability, that we would have to fund another source to put in place for firemen and police, anybody been in public safety that suffers through that. And it's because of trying it. So we've got to fight to try to strengthen things to lessen that type of strenuous, mental things for people that work in those situations. It's tougher than what people probably think. Chief, you had something you want to say?
I don't want to belabor it too much, but one of the reasons why, again, because the systems are so brutally effective and so unbiased, that's part of the reason. It doesn't care who you are, doesn't care who you know. It's not something that, an officer, when they pull people over, all through my career, I've had people tell me who they know and why I shouldn't write them a ticket. They don't get that opportunity of photo enforcement. They just get a ticket when they violate. And to the chief's point, Chief Hunter pointed out, these intersections, the predominant injuries and deaths that we see at injuries are not just car crashes, but they're pedestrian crashes. Pedestrians trying to cross the street. And even a car doing a slow rolling stop, a 3,000-pound car kills people when they're not protected by another vehicle. So it always has been for us a safety issue to get people. And one of the things that we have seen with the use of these cameras anecdotally in the city is we don't have cameras on every intersection. We just have it on a select few. But what we see is that behavior change throughout the city because people forget, well, where was the camera? Was the camera on this intersection or was it on the other intersection? So what happens is that behavior changes and people then obey the law because they're always under the assumption that they're being videotaped going through an intersection and could get a ticket. So again, that changes behavior. And we've seen a reduction since the implementation of these systems back in 7 years ago. We've seen a reduction in crashes. We still average about 7 to 8 crashes per day. And that's a lot of crashes that we have to work. But before these camera systems went into place, we were averaging over 12 back in 2007 through 2010. So we have seen some improvement in our traffic crashes on a normal basis. And we credit that to people being more apprehensive running red lights because they get in tickets. And that's, again, the effectiveness of that program to me shows why we should never oppose that program because it makes everything more efficient. It frees up resources for me to be able to send people into neighborhoods rather than having to sit on intersections, as well as just making the road safer for us in the city, both visitors and citizens alike. So it doesn't make sense for us to go backwards whenever we have such an effective program in place that keeps everybody accountable on the streets. And that's really the key there.
Chief, on that same note there, I know we don't have no control over the state highway out there. That intersection of Highway 80 and Crawford Road, there's really, really something, as is stated by Mr. Hunter down there at 280. Gerald Parkway coming on 280 down there below Appleby. That is a dangerous intersection as well. I share this with you all. Just a few, actually last week I was coming out Highway 80 right there, come out of 28 and Highway 80. I stopped there. Do you not know? I was just been pulled off the 218 wheel. I guess they were racing. They went through that. I went through the red light. I said, Lord have mercy. I said, just think about somebody could have pulled out there. They wouldn't been able to stop. We realized that the city had no control over that intersection as well. But that is a dangerous highway. Matter of fact, all of them is dangerous when you get in that area.
Yes, it is. It's real
Can I say
dangerous.
something? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just from a legal standpoint, I just want to let y'all know that, we had some people locally challenge this. It went to the federal court. We went to U.S. Court of Appeal, 11th Circuit with it. 11th Circuit upheld it. These cameras have been upheld all over the country. After that time, there were some state law claims remaining, which means claims that would have gone to the circuit court and the Alabama Supreme Court. And the Alabama Supreme Court ruled in favor of these devices also. For some of the people that don't know, that might not have had a ticket or have been familiar with this, when you get one of these tickets, and the reason I know is because I've had people come to my office complaining, and I said, well, it says right here, all we've got to do is type this in and we can view the video of what the camera saw. So let's look at it together. I have yet to see one where somebody was not just flat out running a red light. The close ones get weeded out. If somebody looks at these when they come up with the police department, as I understand it, if the light's yellow, they kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Most of the people that I saw, I would look at it. I've had relatives of mine come to me and say, hey, this is just unfair. It's just terrible. And I look at it and they're 10 car lengths before they get to the light and run straight through it anyway. And And so all I'm saying is it's a fair system and it's a good system to enforce the law with. And it does, I believe, save lives, because I can tell you this, Jim McCoon has paid one of those tickets. I ran the red light and I paid it. And you know what? Since then, I've started being a lot more careful when a light is about to turn yellow. I begin to stop. I do not keep going. So that's all I want to say about it. Mainly, I just want to tell you from a legal standpoint, these have been held to be constitutional. From every attack that's been made on them thus far, they've been upheld all over the country. So I hope the legislature will not do something that they think is popular, because it will be, in my opinion, something that would be anti-safety for the public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on the other hand, Mr. McComb, and to the those that not aware of that, those tickets do not go against your insurance, when you run those.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Can I say something?
I just want to let y'all know what it happened from a legal standpoint.
Yeah. Steve?
What Jim just said is exactly right. They've been upheld. I've had several people come down here and tell me that, they were illegal. I said, no, they've been upheld. My youngest son, John Michael, got a ticket right up there by the football stadium. I made him go home, do exactly what Jim said. We pulled it up on the computer. I looked at it, and he was in a hurry to get back to work up at Publix, and he ran it. I made him sit down, write a check, and send it in. I said, son, the police cannot be everywhere at the same time. But what Jim just said made all the sense in the world, and it's exactly what I just told John Michael when he did it. I said, it's for a safety factor. It's to teach you. If the police officer pulled you over, you might could have talked your way out of a ticket. You wouldn't have learned anything from it. But you're sitting there making $300 a week, and it just costs you $100 of that $300 to pay that ticket. It slows you down, and it keeps you alive, and it keeps you safe, and it keeps the people safe that he would have hit had someone else been coming through that intersection. And I know for a fact, the only intersection that I see all the time is up here at Broad and 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been down here almost 50 years, and no telling how many accidents I have seen there over the years. And I promise you, in the last 7, 8, 9 years, ever how long that camera's been there, I bet I can count the accidents that I've seen there since then on one hand. So it does do what it wants to do, but the people that get caught are always going to complain. I mean, that's just the name of the game. They got caught. They complain about it because they're upset that the eye in the sky called them rather than a police officer. But a police officer cannot be everywhere he has to be or everywhere that they're needed. It's impossible. So, personally, I wish we didn't have to have them like Mr. Hunter said. But until that time comes where everybody's driving like it matters to the person that's next to them in the car or on the other side of the road from them, we've got to have them. I didn't agree with seat belts when I first started to wear them, but now I put it on. It's a habit. Mm-hmm. It's a good habit to do, and I guarantee you seat belts save lives, and I would have argued that one until I was an old man years and years ago, but I know that it works now because I know people that's had accidents, and because they had the seat belt on, they survived. So people have slowed down, paying attention to these things, but there's only people that I know that complain to me are the ones that got caught and got a ticket. And they deserved it. They got caught. They were breaking the law. What else can you tell them?
Interestingly, I point out that technology is what brought us to the photo enforcement, but technology will make photo enforcement obsolete soon. We already have self-driving cars. There'll be a time that you won't be able to run a red light because the car won't allow you to do so. The computer will stop you before you run the red light. So they will become obsolete, but we're not there yet. We're going to be there, take a few more decades before those self-driving cars will become more prevalent on the street. But that'll come a time where the photo enforcement won't be needed. The car will actually keep you at the limit speed, and it will keep you from running red lights, and all that will be controlled by a computer. So technology will take over, and we won't have to have them. So until that day, I think they're needed though.
When I look over there and see the mayor sitting in the back seat of a car that's driving itself, I'm going home. I'm not even gonna get on the road anymore.
I'm here. You won't see that.
Scared to death.
Let me tell you about this. The eye in the sky don't lie. So that camera's gonna tell the truth. It don't lie. And then let me say, some people just not gonna do right anyway. Do you all remember? And I'll say this, and we can move on. You all remember when the what were they? The radar detectors was out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Beeper, beeper, 19, breaker, all that. Every person who went and bought one had no intention of doing right by following the laws.
That's exactly right.
None at all.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was saying. That's exactly right. They already intend on not, they just don't want to get caught.
The radar, you're right about the radar, the CB, you know, that made people have friends who didn't have friends. So they'll talk on that from Smokey Bear and all them. But this is something, and I know you're ready to go on this one, but this is something that teaches a lesson like Mr. Bailey was talking about. This is part of the deterioration of our moral fabric of this country. And people need to understand that whenever you start saying, looking at the disparity of some people who don't have enough doing things wrong, but you go to the other end of the spectrum and say, this person is too affluent to be punished because they have so much where they don't know what to do right and or wrong, and start saying, let's get rid of everything that's going to help to correct them. That's when we have problems, and that's a large problem that we have here in the United States right now. So the things that we can help correct people, especially ones that get 7 of these tickets at the same spot, or 9, or like Chief saying, when I have a person complaining to me and saying, well, they got 5 and their spouse found out about it, but they say the camera is heartless and they want a warm-blooded person to be there to give them their ticket. That's so they can threaten and beat up on that person and tell them how they're gonna get them fired and everything else. We have some mental problems in this country that's out of sight. And we have got to keep things in place to help us and our officers correct this. But anytime you can look at something and say, I just had this conversation this weekend when we had a death in this city with a lady that had a great reputation that was willing to put her whole character online to tell a story and say that somebody was at home when they wasn't. And that car and that light down there, it don't just serve as that red light camera. That has helped us solve a lot of problems with Columbus, Russell County, and a lot of people, because if you come through there at 1:30, buddy, you better believe they're gonna be able to show you in that vehicle and that tag came through there at 1:30. So when you say you was at home, that's not gonna work for you, because it can place that particular vehicle there if you was in it. So it's a lot of different things that those cameras are helping with throughout the city. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you all. So we are going to ask for a motion in a second to approve that resolution opposing that House bill. The next Council H on the resolution administration is resolution in reference to opposing Senate Bill 107. And trust everyone have read that. And when I first read it, the first question I asked the city manager was, how did it leave the House? But however it did. So after Mrs. Lee read that, I will ask for a motion in a second to approve of that resolution in opposition from us opposing Senate Bill 107. And that's, as we all know, is the jurisdiction of the police jurisdiction. Okay, any question, comments, or discussion on that before we proceed on? Okay. So next on the
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the elimination of the planning jurisdiction also. I just want to make.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah. And that's probably one of the most mission critical part of that under the planning commission. So thank you, Angel, for reminding me of that.
If I could point out something else too, actually, I had sent this up to Chief Hunter to approve, but I sent it past him and I didn't read it closely. Many of you know that the agenda was changed from Senate Bill 142 to 107.
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, the 142 was last year's. 107 is the refiling of that bill this year. There was some modifications, some changes to that, but our sharp-eyed citizen reporter Tony had spotted that mix-up that I had that sent up. So thank you to Tony for getting that straight. And I apologize to the council and to Melanie for sending you the wrong bill. But the correct bill is the 107, and but it does a lot of the same things. There are some modifications from last year's bill, but it still has the overall goal to limit the authority of the city to protect its its borders and to make sure that we've got good public safety and infrastructure in place, public health and safety infrastructure in place.
Yeah, it would certainly stress and stretch the police department. It would put a lot of stress and stretch on it to go out further. But anyway, it is good reading, so I would.
Hey, Mayor, Chief, could you just reiterate that on tomorrow for the citizen, remind them, excuse me, of this particular bill, please, and what it does.
Mr. McCoon, was you going to speak on this one about the plan?
All I was going to say is, you know, when you take away the police jurisdiction, you take away the planning jurisdiction, it's going to create a lot of problems, I think, for the city from the standpoint of not only kind of a law enforcement deal, but also from code enforcement, things like that. We have people that will go right outside the city now and put up a development or buildings or things that ultimately 10 years down the road might get annexed into the city, and then we've got substandard stuff. And then that creates a problem because somebody gets hurt or we don't have room for a fire truck that's supposed to be like we would have required under our subdivision regulations and things like that. It just creates a lot of problems. And so I would, you know, I just think we should oppose it and very vigorously oppose it. I don't know why it's been introduced. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. Because right now we have a reach of 1.5 miles with the police jurisdiction and with our planning, and our planning is crucial, I think, for the city. So that's all I have to say about it.
And thank you, Angel, for reminding me of that. But that's one of the most mission critical part also, because of the revenues also, and as well as the liability, as Mr. McCoon just spoke of. Okay.
As I said a few minutes ago, Mayor and Council, I would like for the chief to elaborate on for our citizens of Phoenix City, inform them, remind them, shall I say, about this particular bill, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Day. Proceeding on the I, we have a resolution in reference to approving the final settlement of a lawsuit filed by State Farm Fire and Casualty Company, ASO Joseph McCant versus Sean Jermaine Goodwin in the city of Phoenix City et al. Case number 57-SM-2020-900758.00. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that resolution, and we will ask for a motion in a second to approve. Comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, if not any, proceeding on. J and I hope everyone has received this one. This is one that was added. It's a resolution in reference to entering into a contract agreement with Jackson Thornton Utilities Consultants for 2 cost of service rate studies in 2021 and 2024 in an amount not to exceed $60,000. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read that, and I will ask for a motion in a second on that. Okay, Council?
I did not get a chance to read that. Now, what kind of machinery is this? Somebody enlighten me.
That's a consulting group.
Consulting group.
Yes, it's a consulting group as far as doing the study on our rate increases or what we need to do. And also, as Mr. Hunter stated, I think it was last month, maybe in the first of the month, we needed to do this first, rightfully so we can have some that hang our hats on if we do have a rate increase, but also have a mechanism where we can hopefully get some self-refunding loans too. Am I correct, Hunter?
I remember now. Thank you.
Mr. Hunter, was I correct? Okay.
Yes, you're correct. I spoke on it before a few meetings ago, and told you all this was something that would be coming to you all to take care of. It's not like we have a big choice in this, and but we want to do a study not only for now but for the future also, to make sure we can stay in alignment with the increasing demand to follow the regulations from ADEM. and to make sure, you know, the utilities is a business. No different than Spire, no different than Alabama Power, with things changing, and we have to keep it updated, and we have to make sure that we follow what we're supposed to be following. So we got to bring them in to make sure we have this true study done. And not only that, with this study, I'm gonna come along with probably a 3 to 4 hour class for the council. So I'm gonna have to get with Melanie to set some dates so that they can have a time to sit down and educate all of us on what we are looking for in the future.
Any questions or comment, council? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunter. Proceeding on the building department. Council, we have a public hearing and approval of resolutions in reference to the fixing of costs incurred by the city of Phoenix City for removal of substandard structures and the establishment of special assessments upon properties located, and I'll read those properties out tomorrow. And I will ask for a public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to address the council in reference to this fixing of costs and substandard structures. And I will give them this phone number here in this office if there's anyone out there that would like to address council. Okay, council? And
Okay.
after that, we'll ask Mrs. Lee to read the master resolution. And then after that, I'll ask for a motion and a second for approval. And if it's the pleasure of the council, we will take all of them in one vote. And that's why we're asking Mrs. Lee to read the master resolution, if that's the pleasure of the council. So is that okay, council?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comment on that? Proceeding on next on the fire department is a resolution in reference to declaring various items of personal property as surplus to be disposed of in the city landfill. Again, I will ask Ms. Lee to read that resolution, and we'll ask for a motion and a second for approval. Then proceeding on the library department. Also, I will ask Ms. Lee to read a resolution in reference to declaring one Roper refrigerator as surplus to be disposed of in the city landfill. I will ask her to read that, and I will ask for a motion in the second, council. Okay?
Okay.
Proceeding on the utilities department is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to sign necessary documents with them to renew permit for the water filtration plant in an amount not to exceed $4,595. Ms. Lee will be called upon to read that resolution, and after that, council, I will ask for a motion in a second. Any comments, questions, or discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to ask this question to Mr. Hunter and Mr. Woody. How is that? I want to know how is that our sewage plants holding up, because we realize it's been stated a lot of folks are working from home, because I know here at my house, we utilize that restroom quite a bit and stuff. And I'm just wondering how it's going down there. That's all.
It's flowing downhill, Mr. Day.
Okay.
It's
I mean, you haven't had any problem, what I'm saying.
No, I'm messing with you. It's working. It's working real good. It's working good. We just got to make sure we do the things that we supposed to do. I mean, we have a demand on us. We have a aging infrastructure there, and as long as we keep following, we have some. Good God Almighty, what's going on?
I don't know. Sound like they're talking behind you.
No, I don't know what that is.
What happened?
But it's going. It's some things I got to talk to you all about. Some other things I got to talk to you all about later on. But it's a big demand. But we are following everything we need to, and trying to keep up with the different ones around us, and trying to make sure we supply a lot of water to the surrounding utilities, and we treat their sewage also. So it's just not the citizens we are taking care of here, but we're taking care of sewage out of Russell County and sewage out of Smith Station. And we have some coming out of Fort Mitchell area that Phoenix City is in, and a couple of subdivisions that's down there. So we have quite a bit that we have to plan for, and it's an everyday situation there, that they have a lot on them. at the plants that they have to take care of. So we have some innovative things that we are trying to do and move forward with, but it's going okay as far as personnel. And you know how we can't work from home. You know, some of us at times have to and have no choice. But when it comes to the plants, we have to have operators there. So it's been challenging, but they've done a good job.
On these plants, Mr. Hunter, do we have 24-hour operators?
That's correct. We never close.
Okay.
We never close. We have shifts and they never close. See, the city never closes. Some people go home and come back, but filtration, sewage plant, police, fire, miles, and they always have to be available. We never close.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that's the way it is.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Yes.
Council, proceeding on the license application, we do have two that are a second reading, and I will not ask Mrs. Lee to reread them. However, I will ask for a motion in a second, and I am going to apologize again to those persons if I mispronounce their names. But it's a second reading for application for an off-premise beer license, an off-premise wine license submitted by Ramachandra Patel and Dashrat Baiha Patel for Sri Kana LLC doing business at Snack Attack located at 3764 Opelika Road, Phenix City, Alabama. The first reading was on the 2nd of this month. Will not ask Mrs. Lee to reread it, but however, I will ask for a motion in a second to approve. Okay, council. And again, if they are watching now, anyone, I do apologize if I mispronounce your name. And also on the second reading, we have an application for an off-premise beer license, off-premise whiskey and wine license. Retail's package store submitted by Mashandra Patel and Dashrat Baha Patel for Shabjabnad. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
That's close enough. Go ahead.
LLC doing business as Alabama Spirits and Wine located at 3764C Opelika Road, Phenix City, Alabama. Again, the first reading was on the 2nd of this month. Will not ask Mrs. Lee to, I almost call you Miss Clerk, Miss Lee, but you are Miss Clerk. I will not ask her to reread this, but I will ask for a motion in a second from the council to approve. Okay, council?
Okay.
All right, so if anyone asks you or say I mispronounced their names, just apologize to them and say I apologized up front. So give the best I can. And next on the city attorney, we have a notice of claim filed by Carpenter Ingram and Marsh Holder LLP on behalf of Brianna Walker. So Mr. Graham.
Yes, sir. As he said, this claim is filed by this law firm for Brianna Walker. This incident happened back in December, back on December 19th, 2020. One of our police officers had his lights and sirens going. He proceeded through a red light and struck Ms. Walker. This is one of those open-ended claims where they don't claim anything at this point. My recommendation would be, if you've read the chief's memorandum, you know, he says that we need to give me the authority to negotiate a reasonable settlement. And that's what I would ask y'all to do. And if they, you know, come back with something extremely unreasonable, then we'll deny it and let them take their chances in court.
Okay. Council, any questions or comment?
Yes, sir, to our attorney. Anytime you have the siren going and the light going and proceed through a intersection, I know they're trained to take precaution, but that person also was at fault as well, because it's there is a law that protect that when you have the blue light and the siren going. But we know there are some folks out there that have the radio going, some stuff stuck in the ear, listen to music and all that stuff. So I don't know exactly what happened, but he have that blue light going and the siren going. That's actually clear off. Now, why are we gonna sell it for $3,500, I believe?
No,
Because, Mr. Day, you're not right about that.
Okay.
Because whether we have laws that say that, you know, we have to be more careful going through with those lights and sirens. That don't just give you an avenue just to go through and people are supposed to get out of your way. You have to be defensive the whole while, no matter if it's there. The only vehicle on the road in the United States, besides if you got martial law going on and you got military coming through, is the post office. That everyone better get out of the way to own the streets. They're number one. Now, when we're out there with lights and sirens, we are also trained to know that everybody don't hear that. People listen to loud music, people are texting, they are doing some of everything except for that. People are putting on makeup. We've been through all of this. So you have got to be super careful knowing and be a super defensive person with all that along with you. So no, it don't always just work that we have a pass.
Now I understand that, Mr. Hunter, and I'm aware of that as well. I have noticed I have a police officer, whereas I have a fireman when they enter to the intersection. I stood there and watched. And then also in Columbus, they do come up to an intersection with caution. I know we got to use caution. Matter of fact, we got to use common sense, you know, and coming into the intersection. I was on River Road when I saw a young man had the stuff in his ear. He missed a fire truck by inches. And he got to the other side, then he pulled to the side. I know we got to use common sense. We got to use caution in these incidents.
So when we do hit somebody, have an accident, a lot of time it just don't work against them. It works against both.
Okay.
It work against us. You know,
Yeah,
we're held to a different standard.
And Mr.
You want to
Day-
elaborate on that, Chief?
Well, hey, let me say something. I think Mr. Day is confused with the one I approving a final settlement of $3,500.
yeah, that's different.
Mr. Day, that's where our street sweeper backed into a car that was behind it. They sued us for over $7,000 and we settled it for $3,500. And we were at fault. So that's where the 3,500 came from. These people have not given us an amount.
Okay, I don't know what
they want to settle this case for.
By design, as you stated.
Oh
Jimmy.
yeah, where they can run up medical bills and physical therapy bills and all
But
that.
that read in there also where she got in the, I don't want to say the right of way, but did she go out also?
Well, in the facts of this case, just as the chief spoke to Chief Hunter, the red light or the blue lights and siren are asking permission for right of way. So if they don't yield the right of way, we're obligated to stop. And in this particular case, the officer did a pretty good job, although he didn't have an accident. As he was going through the intersection, he wasn't going very fast, but she pulled out and then they collided at a right angle on the corners. So there is some damage to both the vehicles, and it was it was a crash, but it wasn't a high-speed crash. So the officer did do his due diligence to try to get through there, although he did make a mistake and was not able to stop for her when she come out into the intersection. And to your point, yes, she did fail to yield right away, but there's what they call a 51-49% rule. We're probably 51% liable, even though she didn't yield the right away. So that's where the negotiation comes in. We're 51% responsible, and she may be 49% responsible, but that's going to be for the court to decide. That's the reason we're asking permission for a negotiated settlement in this case, so we can get a real number and then start working from there.
But that should help, shouldn't it, Jimmy?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
tell him, Chief, that's why we have to go through so many courses of defensive driving.
Amen.
Okay.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Wasn't that a police car went through the intersection ahead of this particular car? Did I read it that way?
Yes, sir. There was actually, one vehicle was being pursued, and under our policy, you have a lead vehicle and the backup vehicle. The vehicle that was involved in the crash was the backup vehicle, and he was following a second vehicle through the intersection. The first vehicle, everybody stopped for the first vehicle, and it went through the second vehicle as it was coming up to the intersection. that's when Miss Walker pulled out. She's the one that pulled out, and that's where the collision happened. So yeah, it was a second vehicle in the chase.
In some respects, she might not have been anticipating two, because I think they were chasing a stolen car.
That's right.
And even if I read right, the first police officer stopped the chase and came back to the accident, realizing, that the pursuit was over, and made sure that everybody at that scene was okay. So,
That's right.
it looks like it was just, like you said, one of them 5149s that somebody contributes somehow, but nobody knows how much you contributed until Jimmy gets finished trying to negotiate.
But Mr. Bentley, I want people to understand this. And I'll say this, because God gave me this ability. I was one of the best on the street in driving a response vehicle. When you're the second vehicle, it's the worst case scenario that you can have, because when people let the first vehicle go through that's emergency, they tend to proceed after then.
They forget about everybody else might be behind it. That's right.
That's correct. They tend to, they will be at rest. And when they see that go through, they heard that, and you have this audio that's going on, these alarms. So they're looking at that first one, and they hear that and see that, and they stop. They don't hear that second one that's behind it. That's why a lot of times people have to go different routes if they can, but if they're too close, they're it's a tense situation when you're going through traffic and people are trying. So that second vehicle really has to look out for someone. If I ever was a second, I knew we were in danger trying to get to a call or respond to something. You knew that if you was behind somebody or too close to them, what that traffic was going to do after that first one went through. And if you're too close, it's a problem.
That's what I mean. Nobody's going to anticipate, two ambulances coming through the intersection at the same time. They see one, they say, well, there they go. Now I can go. And that's, but, like it's written up, it looks like, both of them thought they were doing the right thing. The police officer thought he was doing the right thing, and the other lady didn't assume that. She assumed that she had bypassed all the sirens and everything, and you still hear them. You see the blue lights, but you're not looking for multiple ones. It's just a situation that exactly what it says. It's an accident. Neither one of them intended on that to happen.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, council? Comments, discussion?
Yes, sir. I again apologize for coming on late. I noticed the proclamation that Melanie had put together for the information that I forwarded to her, and did a good job on that as well. To the young man that played in the Super Bowl. And I like to say to her and city clerk office, good job, well done. One of the other thing too, I read over here. Well, Mr. Hunter, can you elaborate on this for me? Because I'm like this. I sign resolution. I got to understand what I'm signing. That 15, we realized that Theros got the contract on the public safety buildings, and realized that there are $1,500, and we are to pay that now. Help me out. Huh?
1,500. No.
How much?
Go ahead.
Was it 1,500? No, listen what I'm saying. We realize they got the contract for $4.some million. We realize that, right? Okay, but what I'm asking is this: if they got the contract, then why are we paying the additional 1,500? If you get the contract, you have some issues within that contract. Are they supposed to pay that?
You talking about the $15,100? That's on the administration. 1A. Talking about the material testing and special services.
Yes, maybe I looked at it wrong here.
Yes, sir.
One.
Yes, sir. Mr. Day, that's for the geotech testing and everything. We hire our own testing company, so we make sure it's independent from Thayer. So that does not go into Thayer Break Construction.
I apologize. 15,100. I see it. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Angel. I'm sorry.
That contract, that's our actual construction engineering and testing company that we hire. We want it to be independent from the contractor, so there's no question there. So this is not going to Thayer Bray Construction. This is for our testing company to come out and provide tests on the ground, the concrete, steel, everything like that. So this is a completely different contract, but it's something during the actual construction process that we have to do.
Okay. All right, thank you. I was just wondering, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
One other question. I noticed, I think I rode through there the other night and I saw our officers down at 5th Street South, and we getting those lights down there. As I said, I was late coming on. And we begin to utilize those precincts and went down there in 5th Street South and the other one up there by Lakewood Golf Course. Chief, are we utilizing those because of the construction begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's why we had those built to make sure that if anything went wrong, we had other areas that we can work out of and be in the neighborhoods. But especially now, you see a lot of people, a lot of cars, and a lot of traffic is down in those areas. That's why we put those in place some years ago, just in case we had things going on like this. So it's good to have that presence there.
Yeah, it is. I noticed that the other evening. That's all I have, Mayor. I like to ask the chief this: have we changed the locker and security code down there?
Yes, sir. To make sure you can't get in. I'm gonna answer that question. So I'm gonna take care of that. The chief's gonna have to take care of that. I gave him direct orders to make sure you don't run up in there and the people and disturbing them and taking coffee and stuff, and find you some other place to hang out at.
Well, Mr. Hunter, be honest with you, I've just asked the question. I hadn't been down there, and since I've been holding no meeting down there, Mr. Hunter. I feel like this right here. If I need to go in, I get in there. I represent that district. If I need to get in there, I will get in there. But I don't have no need to go there, Mr. Hunter. And Chief,
we're gonna make sure you can spend the night if you go, but it's gonna be down the street there.
It'll still be right off of 5th Street South.
Hey, Wally.
Hey,
You'll be within walking distance.
Hey,
I have
Wally.
my backup
Yes,
down. I
sir.
have my constituent down.
That we got from the city in Iowa. He tell me he needs to read that.
Oh, yeah. I sent that out to y'all.
Yeah, you make sure you read that off.
What's that?
Just read what the city manager sent you with the city up in Iowa. Okay, just read it.
Well. Let me say this to all of us and all my colleagues as well. This is one of the reasons. On a serious note, this is one of the reasons that I've gone through the municipality association over there in Montgomery and wherever the hell that. This is the reason why I finished the first level at the state of Alabama. Also finished the second level in the state of Alabama, and I also finished the third level. And I'll be graduating in Huntsville in May. So when I go over there, I try to learn something and try to do my job more effective. I am aware of some of the situations, pros and cons that a councilman can and cannot do. I'm aware of that. I carry on with you guys, but I am aware of the pros and cons of the situation. Thank you for allowing me to elaborate on that, sir. Thank you.
Well, all I can say is you don't want to get to the 4th level. That's just right down the street from 5th Street South. So stay at them 3 levels.
Sir, I'm not worried about that. All you got to do is get to where I've been, sir. That's all you got to do.
You know I'm teasing for you, and you're doing fine. On a serious note, let me say something, man.
On a serious note, sir, all you got to do is get to where I've been. There's no council in the history of Phenix City got to that level, sir.
I understand that. I ain't got to that level yet. But I do want to say this. I appreciate the chief being on TV a few nights ago talking about the situation with our crime in the bi-city area, not just Phenix City, of course. And I appreciate working, the chief in Phenix City is working with the Columbus Sheriff Department, Police Department, our Russell County Police Department, Opelika, Smith Station, and everybody. And I want to publicly thank him for getting on top of that and working with everybody trying to get a handle on all this crime around here. And Chief, I just want to say thank you for what y'all doing. Thank you for the attitude you have on trying to get on top of it and do all you can to do it. And I know you are. You're the right man for the job, and I know you're going to
make some big strides in it. And I know that time's going to tell, and some of this crime and corruption is going to go away from here. I really do believe that. So I just want to personally thank you for getting on TV and addressing that.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
I would like to say one other thing before we go, because, you know, it's close to you dealing with these kids. You know, we work close with a lot of kids and with the school system, and you know, they're going through some changes now, and hope everything will stay positive was there. But when you think about and talk about Nunez and my son played together during that time, and they played for Woodrow. I would like to congratulate Mayor Lowen and Griff Gordy on that. They coached those kids, and they coached them well. And I know they got to be proud of Nunez and seeing it's just like was a son to them, and he was a terror out there. He was real good. You see, he was a good ball player, and to see him reach this level, because it's ironic. He was with Kansas City as they was developing into a great team, and he got traded. And to go into this and things happen for him like they did with Tampa Bay and to beat Kansas City, you know, that was something else. But for y'all too, and I know y'all worked, and I don't think till today, the class of 211 and 212, I don't think it's been more scholarship athletes at Central High School.
Yeah.
They were, Jonathan Wallace was a part of that. All of them, you know, so many got scholarships to play football in other places. And I think the whole athletic program was just super. Those were 2 elite years at Central High School. I remember them well.
Yeah, well, again, listen, I will tell you all this, what it would have done to me if a team had traded me and I play against him. I can assure you, he was highly motivated.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Am I right, Griff? Griff, am I right? He was highly motivated.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. But anyway, thank you all so much. But before we get off, council, I would like to call for executive session for about 20 minutes for good name and character. So if I would like to ask for a motion that we can go in the executive session for good name and character for about 20 minutes. May I have a motion to approve to go into executive session?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Gordon. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Day. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So motion carry, Mrs. Lee.
Yes,
that
sir. Can I
we'll
ask
be-
one question?
Yes,
Y'all
ma'am.
will adjourn after the
Yes.
executive session? All right.
Yes, ma'am. So if for about 20 minutes, and Jimmy and I guess Jim needs to stay on, Mr.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yes,
And,
Sean.
who else?
Sean,
Sean?
Angel, Labrita, Charles Woody, and Ray.
Okay. Repeat them again so we can make sure.
Sean, Labrita, Charles Woody, Angel, and Ray.
And both attorneys.
Mike will be there too. Mike also. Yeah, both attorneys. Yeah, you called them
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
Okay. For 20 minutes. And so with that, we're going to have the clerk put the time on. So at 5 minutes, Mrs. Lee, start letting us know. Okay.
Okay.
So with that, Mike, can you